Well, Ben, welcome back to the show, man. Always great to visit with you.
Always great to be here. Thanks for having me back on. How you been?
Oh, never better. Never better. You've got a vest on. It looks like long sleeves. What is it cold in DC right now? What's going on there?
It's like 99% humidity. It's pretty warm, but I'm in my basement right
Ah,
now, and it
okay.
is really cold. It's a running joke within all of SDI. I mean, there's a problem if I'm not wearing a vest. Actually, I dressed down for this. Actually, I was wearing a heavy jacket before we got on.
Oh, right on, right on. Well, cool. We got a
I
lot to
actually
get
I
in.
step outside into 99-degree weather with like pure humidity
Oh, it's
just to
hotter
like
there than it is in
thaw
Texas.
out.
Wow.
It isn't that hot today. We've had a long stretch of good heat, but
I think this is the first time I can remember getting into July in my lifetime and not hitting triple digits. Like Texas is having the most mild summer, and it's been like beautiful, like surprisingly.
yeah,
Uh,
you don't have to flee to Colorado like the
yeah.
rest of the state. I'm headed out to Austin and San Antonio in August, so hopefully the weather holds. I doubt that I'll have a
Oh
reprieve from
no,
the heat though in San
it'll
Antonio.
be hot. It'll be
Yeah.
hot. Well, we've got a lot to get into today, but I wanted to start with. I was telling you off the air, we had this what I thought was a great conversation with outdoor life writer Tyler Friel, an Alaskan resident, last week, kind of to get his thoughts on Trump's legacy as it pertains to hunting and conservation. Why does that even matter? Why we revisiting history? Well, because I saw so many personalities and other hunters, but like people with influence in our community advocating that we should all vote for Biden. And I'm like, okay, so let's examine this. Was Trump bad for conservation? I mean, that's the only way I could say, oh, yeah, we should all vote for Biden, right? Like, was he bad for hunting? Uh, no, I don't think he was. So we did a deep dive into that and got his take on it. And anyway, I've kind of posted that general thought on Instagram. And I said, and this guy, he lives in Pennsylvania. He responded, he said, the reason we voted for Biden is because there's a difference between you and us. You're a trophy hunter and we're conservationists. And so I replied to him, let's see here, that because I like shooting mature males of the species, which is scientifically the right animal to target, I'm not a conservationist. Um, that's I put my money where my mouth is day in and day out, and for a lot of the reason why I do this for a living is because I am passionate about conservation. So he said, "Yeah, keep stroking your ego, typical leftist crap." Uh, and I said, "Why don't you sit a few plays out and let the folks who actually fund conservation have a conversation?" And his response was, "Well, I said the places that you like to go eat your granola basically exist because we pay for it. Enjoy your nature trails. You're welcome, by the way. We like paying for that stuff for you." He said they're free because of pioneers like Gifford Pin. Do you know how to pronounce this guy's name?
Pin show.
Pinchot. The state park I maintained through the DCNR was named after this great man. So I immediately looked up Gifford Pinchot and the DCNR Pennsylvania, and it was like he threw me this golden nugget that I couldn't even believe it, because who funds the DCNR? Well, Trump passed the Great American Outdoors Act, which funded the Land and Water Conservation Fund in perpetuity forever.
Right.
Guess who funds the DCNR?
It seems like that would be a good place for LWCF money to go.
Exactly. Who pays for this guy's salary?
Right.
Exactly. So Trump signed this thing that basically
Hey,
ensures
thank
he's going
you.
to have a job in
Forever.
perpetuity. And I said, your state also got $58 million in Pittman Robertson funding last year. That's from hunters and anglers.
Yep.
So again, you're welcome. And he said, man, this was the amazing breakthrough right here. I know this is a long-winded deal, but I think it's important. He said, man, you know your stuff. I appreciate some of the things Trump accomplished, and I also appreciate you, even though we have some different views on hunting and promoting conservation. I know we both want to be able to continue to enjoy the outdoors and let it flourish for generations to come.
That's awesome.
I applaud your service, and I've enjoyed this back and forth. So I was like, wow, we made, usually
I would have
Did you
just
get it?
assumed it was a troll, and just been like, please stop following me. But yeah, he came around.
I know.
Put the facts out there.
There's
Good on
hope,
you.
man. There's hope.
There is always one at a
But
time.
once he said that he worked for the Pennsylvania DCNR, I was like, okay, I hope that somehow this is funded by something Trump did.
Yeah,
And it was. So it was just too good to be true.
sure enough.
But stuff that I want to focus on today, and let's start with something that SCI is thankfully been very aggressive with here of late, and that is this campaign of big tech censorship and
Yeah, man.
basically asking folks who've been censored. I did an Instagram live video the other day. 3 people. They told 3 people that I was doing. It used to be like 200-300 people jump on, and like it didn't take long, 30 seconds. I'm sitting there waiting 5 minutes, 3 people. Okay, so I didn't change anything. They've throttled me on Facebook and Instagram routinely, deleting posts.
I've seen the message they pop up, like about to follow you, saying like this guy might be like a wacko. I was like, what in the
Facebook disclaimer when you go to my Facebook page?
That's a badge of honor, but that's terrible.
Are you sure you want to do this? This guy posts content that you may not like. So I mean, it's day in and day out for me, but I think it's happening to more and more people, and SCI is not content to sit on the sidelines and let that continue.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is, I see it day in and day out across the board, whether it's someone like with an awesome platform and friends like you, or just, somebody that has a couple of followers just kind of getting dinged for doing what they want to do. It's just, I was talking to some other folks about it. It's like there's just so much anger around the issue. Like, let's all just try to do something with that and focus that anger and energy, for people being slighted for just doing what's perfectly legal activity. Mm-hmm. So we put out this campaign, where we're gathering names on a petition. We've been talking with Facebook, and the plan is to just take that petition to Facebook and to the content editors and just show, when you're talking about community guidelines, this is your community right here. And everyone's following the guidelines. Look at all these testimonials. I mean, we did an initial post, on Instagram. I saw you commented on it quickly, just about how your numbers are down in 2021 and everything. I mean, just those testimonials like yours are very powerful. You take yours and everybody else's and stack them and you send them over. It makes it harder for them to say that their policies are right. I mean, basically they're another arm of government at this point, right? If they're policing free speech. So they need to be able to take comments and direction from people. I mean, they can't operate just as a corporation in the way that they're set up. So we're taking our advocacy prowess, that we have in the halls of Congress, and taking it to a place like Facebook. It was nice that, we launched the campaign, and the next day, Trump sued Facebook for censorship. It's across the spectrum, but really want to shine the light on, just legal activities like hunting. And it's just across the board. I mean, it's all the reasons that they take these posts down, say blood and guts. It's like, there's no blood and guts. This is a respectful photo. Okay, well, you have a gun. It's like, okay.
Am I pointing it at a person? Like,
no, right.
What's the problem here? But meanwhile, here's a girl whose, nasty bits are barely covered in some dental floss, and that's fine.
Right.
Or actually, I don't see them censoring. Like, you can put videos of people getting shot in Chicago on Instagram and Facebook, like laying there dead in the street. There's videos of all kinds of violence from.
Oh yeah.
And there's nothing. They don't censor that. That's graphic violence to me, not somebody standing there with a dead white-tailed deer in a 270. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I don't think that they have a good answer for it, honestly. So we just have to keep poking them and get them in the right direction.
So, in your opinion, that this thing, I mean, it sounds great. It's a great idea. I think everyone would get behind the thought that censorship is bad, free speech is good. But does it really have any teeth? Because I think the people that run Facebook and Instagram, they're not like you and I. They don't clearly they don't value the same things we value.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Silicon Valley based group, right? I don't know that there's many hunters or anglers that are, probably some anglers, but I don't think that there's either really within that community. So again, it kind
Do
of
you
falls
think that?
on.
Do you think if there are any anglers that they're catch and release, or do you think they'd ever? You think they'd eat a rainbow trout?
I would hope so. They're delicious, right? Um, but that puts it on us too to educate folks, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's like you're talking about, going having the exchange, with the guy in there just and laying out, what the facts are and changing the mind. I would love to just have the honest conversation and take some of the presentations that we have with, say, Hill staff and decision makers in Congress and take it to them and educate them. I think it would be pretty eye-opening for some folks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was at Interior, there were folks, that had just come on at the same time as me that didn't know what Pittman Robertson was. And they're on our side. Educating was like, there's more to this on why we are in the right on all this as hunters. Like, oh my gosh, wow. We fund the whole kit and caboodle for conservation. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we do, wear it as a badge of honor and tell the uninitiated about it. So, I mean, that's the goal. Sure, maybe they don't know, but we have polling that shows, agnostics towards hunting, when told about the benefits of it, will come to your side and not be against you. So I don't know why that audience doesn't apply to folks at Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else. But it's on us as the folks with the science and the knowledge to bring it to them.
Okay. Well, how do people, I know you guys are asking for personal experiences. So how do people get involved with the campaign? I mean, clearly sign the petition, but are you still actively looking for examples of situations where people have been censored?
Yeah, we are. So we've had the petition out now for about a week. We're gathering a strong group of names. I think it's about 5,000 folks that have signed on at this point. We're going to go back and circle back with those folks that have already showed, commitment to it and getting on the petition and seeing if they'd be willing to share some of their testimonials as well. And just having done these before, imagine that we'll have a good response there. And from there, we'll take it and package it up to just drop off at Facebook headquarters or their DC shop.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
so be on the lookout for that. We'll circle back with a big campaign there.
Okay. And how long what's the sunset on that thing?
I mean, it's still just getting constant signatures on it. So we're going to let it kind of ride for a little while, but I would imagine towards the end of this month,
okay.
Wrapping it up. I mean, we'll keep it open. We'll have a talk with, Facebook going into August.
Right on. Let's talk about what's going on in the House, because there's some, I think, concerning language on trophies that is alarming to anyone who is a hunter, conservationist. So what's going on there?
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen this in the House of Representatives. It's through the appropriations process, right? Which always starts in the House, and its appropriations is, what funds the whole of government. But it's more than just what funds. It's also a vehicle for, members of Congress to block funding to certain things. So there's language in the Interior Appropriations Bill, in the base bill that just got out of the Appropriations Committee. So it's waiting for a vote by the whole House to pass or fail there. That would block funding for issuing permits on iconic species trophies coming over from Africa. So by blocking,
so basically, they're not going to pay for the process of actually issuing the permit.
Yeah. So basically, it becomes a directive to folks at Fish and Wildlife that they can't, as federal employees, can't spend any of their time issuing permits. So then it's a ban. So it was introduced in the base bill. In the past, it's been done as an amendment by a congressman from Florida. The way the House is now and how far it's gone away from hunting, it's in the base bill. I think that as the House stands now in the current numbers, you probably see it pass out of the House, anticipating seeing a vote on it at the end of this month before it goes over to the Senate for consideration. Not to say we're not going to fight it tooth and nail. We have, a number of legislators who are obviously hunters first, congresswomen second, that'll speak up to it. But also just Africans in the community and scientists. I mean, it's a really incredible outpouring of of comments and dialogue coming from Africa scientific community and African governments over in Europe last month since we last spoke. They were having a consideration on a trophy ban, and all these different groups of science, African leaders, governments reached out to members of parliament over there and ended up having an amendment put in place that carved that out, took trophy ban off the table. It won over hearts and minds. So I mean, we'll likely be seeing that same, Europe strategy come into play over in the U.S. I would anticipate, because they're just fed up with it. I mean, the science not being followed, rural lives, being ruined over just wealthy elite, Americans deciding how poor communities are able to thrive, and how those management authorities are allowed to manage their resources.
I think it was something that I had seen on SCI's Instagram page about the number of people killed by elephants in, it wasn't Botswana, it was, where was that? Was that Namibia maybe? Wasn't Namibia? It was like over 20 people have been killed already this year by
it's
elephants.
Through the roof.
And so they're trying to rapidly issue more elephant permits because they have an overpopulation. Well, that's what happens. Human wildlife conflict increases when you don't do your due diligence on management strategy. We see the same thing with predators in places like California, where they've banned mountain lion and black bear hunting. I got another conversation, a private message a guy sent me. His buddy is a government trapper in California. So he said the number of mountain lions that guy kills every year is just astronomical.
I believe it.
Because they banned mountain lion hunting in like 1990, I think it was 1990, 91, somewhere in there. And now it's getting the same way with black bears, which you can still hunt, but you can't hunt with hounds anymore in California. Made that illegal in 2012. So,
yeah,
and then who pays for it? Oh, taxpayer dollars pay for something that hunters were already doing.
There's such a better alternative, it'll actually give into the system. But yeah, I mean, going back to Africa, it's just like, how about these people making decisions, see what it's like to have an elephant, go through their house, or a lion eat, a family member. I mean, that's not made up. It's real. It's happening.
Oh,
it's
and
a
then
lot
the first
easier
thing they're going to do is kill the animals themselves, right? And I don't blame them for doing it. Why would anyone?
They don't have any other alternative.
Oh, Zimbabwe. I'm looking at your Instagram right now. Zimbabwe has sold hundreds of elephant hunts to help fund their national parks. The Zimbabwe government plans to sell the right to hunt as many as 500 elephants. They have had 1,500 complaints in 2021 compared to 1,000. We're just halfway through 2021 essentially, and they had 1,000 in all of 2020, and 21 people have been killed by elephants in Zimbabwe this year. That's insane. Yeah. So anyway, good for them. At least that, going back to the science, okay, their government realizes we have an overpopulation of elephants. We've got to do something about this. Let's sell some hunts to fund conservation. Wow. It's so simple, yet it's such a insane thought that actually killing something is saving it, that people can't wrap their minds around it. And, they wear their hearts on their sleeves and get their emotions all tangled up in it, and science goes out the window.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm excited. Like, I love the hypocrisy of the issue too. I just want to have that turn the tide on it. You've got the president signing an executive order on racial equity, saying that decisions government will be made while considering, local and indigenous people. What better example than, issuing a permit for a species that's being sustained and enhanced.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we can learn something hopefully from the way that Europe had to go about that. Have to use it here on our soil, as far as making sure that those import bans are. I'm living through it right now. I shot a banta buck in 2017, I think it was. It's still sitting in Africa. Can't get it back. Banta bucks recovered because of hunters and ranchers. Like,
zero movement on banta bucks. We just submitted comments again, supporting them, the permits being issued. They haven't done anything over this since the new administration took over. like you said, recovered from hunting.
Yep. It's just I mean, I don't know. I mean, I
We're
knew when
working
I
on it,
shot
though.
it, there was a
We're
chance
working
it would take a little while. I didn't think it was going to take 4 years, but
Kidding.
I think Trump maybe does deserve a little bit of criticism on the permit side of things. Like I think he could have done more to help us out on that front when it comes to especially African stuff. But I think he did a great job domestically. But Obama didn't do anything for us either. So, and Biden certainly isn't going to do us any favors. So I think maybe that, just to be 100% transparent, I think maybe that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, can't say enough about all the incredible stuff that he did here at home, which you made the case on. But there's a lot can be done on the front of permitting. I mean, they rolled out during Trump administration the e-permitting system to make that easier. Obviously, government's not very good at doing website functions. We all saw with healthcare.gov. So I know that they were very excited about that shiny object, but that still needs some work too.
Well, we're not going to make any
if
headway.
you talk to just careers in Fish and Wildlife that are like in permitting, I mean, they're understaffed. We've got plenty of allies that understand the conservation benefits of hunting home and abroad. It needs more funding though to go towards actually getting the permits done. I don't think that e-permitting is a magic wand by any means.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to track that one closely. It'll likely, like you said, get out of the House, make its way into the Senate, where we probably have a good shot. I mean, if we just get one Tester or Manchin or one, all we need is one.
Right.
So
you got to get one. It's doable. It's tougher than it's been in the past. Just the makeup of the House isn't great. I mean, that's all going to change, I would imagine, in 2022. But as it stands today, it's not very favorable.
Yeah. I guess lastly, we talked about Chipman a little bit last time. We'll wrap it up here. He is. Where does it stand right now? I mean, he's passed through the Senate. Still has to confirm him, right?
Yeah. So he's waiting on a full Senate vote for confirmation, and crickets right now. There's no plan to have him come up for a vote from everything I've heard before they go on recess for August. So then we're looking into September. I mean, it's being delayed for a reason. If they had the votes now, it would come up.
Right.
They don't want to.
That's pretty
clear, they don't want to give the gun control groups a black eye. I mean, he's their poster child. He's literally worked for, lobbied for all of them, whether it's Brady, Giffords, every town. He's been on their payrolls. So they're holding back because they don't have the clear votes right now. I mean, everyone that's speaking up and calling their senators is making a difference. He hasn't done himself any favors, just in reports that come out. And just seeing the sportsman's community, come out against him. I mean, we were joined by, I don't have the number, like 20 groups, that signed on, the full range of hunting and fishing groups stepping in, because it's just unprecedented. It's just never been a partisan position, like you've never had under Trump, it wasn't like an NRA person being put into that position. It's, an agnostic, somebody that's outside of it. And under Biden, they're just like, let's just be as gross about this as possible and put someone in and just totally further delegitimize what's already a pretty messed up bureau.
I don't even know what to say. It's mind-boggling. We're going to put a guy who's a known anti-gun lobbyist at the head of the organization that controls guns.
Yeah, I think it was Senator Chuck Grassley. It's like that's
and going back to these people that voted for Biden that I still don't understand. Like, how do these hunting people, celebrities, personalities say go vote for Biden? This is what you get with that mentality. This is what you get.
It's like Stockholm syndrome. I don't get it,
man.
But yeah, I think Senator Grassley was like, it's like Antifa, being put in charge of Portland, Oregon. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
Well, no bueno. But yeah, I mean,
I'm
loving the fact that there's time. Time is not on his side. The longer it's out there, the more that we can all engage. We've got our campaign going now. I mean, it's just texting ATF to 73075.
Okay. Say that again.
ATF to 73075.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I think Manchin's kind of been kind of discreet on what he's going to do there. But I imagine he's one of the ones that's kind of holding things up.
Yeah.
West Virginia is uh, a very gun friendly place, and it typically the state. It's funny because they have more conservative values. It's got a long history of mining, and so unions, and that's why it stays blue. But politically,
it's changed in the last 4 years. I mean, it's about as red as it gets now. Manchin is the exception. Their governor, Justice, he switched parties. Other folks have switched parties. Like it's become red. Manchin is Mr. Mountaineer, though. I mean, he's quarterback for West Virginia. You know, he's through and through, and he's obviously extremely likable. And he's like the Robert Burr, you know, like he brings home the bacon to West Virginia. So what's not to love there? But his whole stance right now is he wants to hear from West Virginia gun owners on shipment. So take this time as a West Virginian to let him know where you stand.
Yeah. I've read quite a few opinion pieces that Manchin is possibly the most powerful man in America right now, just because of the way that the Senate is split, and he's typically aligns with conservatives on a lot of issues.
Sure.
Sometimes he's going to vote party lines, and that, you know, we don't agree with some of those things, but that's okay. You know, that's politics. Everyone, you know, that's what has made this country great is, you know, if you don't like something, you can vote to change it. And and he holds the most powerful single vote, I think, in the U.S. right now. So
yeah, when you have like the DC like hill rags like writing lead stories about who
had get my Manchin pom poms out,
breakfast with them. Yeah, it's like he's got a lot of sway, and he also covers for a lot of other, you know, supposed like moderate Democrats, or like real profiles and courage. They don't have to vote or go either way until they see what Manchin does, and then they can do something. Like if
he draws the ire of the left, though, man. Like they're calling him a turncoat and all this, that, and the other, just because a little common sense, you know, that hey, he's not doing it with emotions. He's actually looking at facts and making an informed decision, something I think a lot of politicians should do instead of just blindly voting party lines on both sides of the aisle. I mean, let's call a spade, but
I would say if you have folks on the left and right both yelling at you, you're probably doing something right. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
absolutely. Well, cool. Well, I always appreciate the time, and I look forward to our next visit. Again, where can folks sign the petition?
The petition's online at our website, safariclub.org. Also a great place to join SCI if you're in the market. No better time than now. But underneath our advocacy banner, you can click down on there, say take action, and get right onto the petition. Or text big tech to 73075. That'll get you right to it.
Okay, awesome. Well, I always appreciate it. Thanks for the time, Ben. I look forward to our next visit.
Yep, as always, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Likewise.